Hey everybody, it's holiday season. I'm just about to head out for a vacation, but I thought I wanted to do one quick weekly gym before I took off. That was in response to something that Kimberly Smith had asked on in the LAVM program today. So it's about how do you, like as a person, like as a human being, when you're in a group full of people who are filled with frustration, hate, fear, and animosity, and your job is to get them to agree with each other, how do you, meaning me, she was asking me how I personally dealt with those things, because they, tended to freak her out. They freak most people out, and they're annoying as hell. So you get in, you're all excited about saying, hey, we have a problem, we could solve that problem. And instead, people are more interested in being angry. They're more interested in fighting with each other. They're more interested in loudly saying how other people have wronged them versus actually getting work done. And this particular project, or this assignment for the visual management certification that she was working on with her team, their job was to take the town of Albion, Michigan, which years ago had lost its major employment. It has a relatively big college there, and the college kind of keeps the city alive, but it's not really a major employer of people in the city. They import their labor force, and there's a town versus gown relationship, and I had that project. So when I was going to Michigan State University as a urban planning student, that was a project for me, was with a group of other students to go down and find ways, or work with the city to find ways to economically develop or redevelop this dying community. And what we found was that we got exactly what I just described. There's a lot of people who were very angry, a lot of people who were very anxious to talk about why things would not work, and it's very difficult to find ways to get them to work. So I have built subways, I've built cities, created software for clients, gone in and helped companies fix their ways of working and their culture. Throughout the 90s, I led the NAMES Project AIDS Memorial Quilt in the Pacific Northwest part of the U.S., which meant that I did a lot of AIDS activism and work, I guess, at that time, getting different groups of people together who were angry about a variety of things. Either they were angry because they were being ignored and they were sick, or they were angry because they felt like those people got sick on their own. It was part of my job as part of the quilt to provide a foundation, a place where we could have neutral conversations that just focused on the real impacts of the AIDS pandemic. Dead people, people dying, people getting sick, and the ultimate unnecessariness of the whole thing, to get therapies. So initially with AZT, then combination therapies, and then on to now where we have PrEP and other things. With COVID, it took us an entire year to come up with a vaccine. For AIDS, because no one wanted to deal with it, it took a decade, right? And you can even hear in my voice that even I'm still frustrated and bitter about that. So when we're with a group of people, and some of them don't want to be there, some of them actively dislike the people that they're talking to or they're supposed to be working with, but we have a goal, and that goal is worthy, and we want to make sure that that goal happens. What is it that we do? How do we react when they start to go down the rabbit hole of bitchiness, ennui, and fear. And I wish that there was a video I could make about that. I wish that there was a thing that I had learned over these 30 years of dealing with very large problems. But what I found invariably is that all people, have an aspect of humanity in them, regardless of how angry they are. And when they get angry, they lash out. And they will lash out at whoever's closest to them. And if you're the person who's saying, hey, what's going on? We're trying to do this thing, and you're yelling, they're going to lash out at you because you're close to them. Proximity is a thing, right? And there's no mask, and there's no vaccine for protecting yourselves from other people's fear. So the beautiful thing about the quilt, the thing I took from the quilt, where I took the quilt, how I took the quilt. I found myself, or our people in our chapter found themselves taking the quilt to right-wing sororities, to Mormon temples, to Teamsters halls, to places that generally weren't open to the queer community in general, things that weren't open to, we'll just say, new or novel ideas. But the quilt as a tangible, physical, undeniable object, visual in all respects, helped people who were stuck in fear and hate and worry get beyond that, because the fear that they were feeling was blind. There was nothing to grab onto and say, I get it. The slogan of the NAMES Project AIDS Memorial Quilt was, see it and understand. That's what everything we do at Modus is about. See it and understand. So I didn't have visual systems when I was working in Albion, Michigan. I would have handled that situation, or I would have worked with my team to handle that situation very differently now. We would build systems where people who were on opposite sides of an issue could touch that issue together physically, emotionally, mentally, practically, and start to build solutions. Give them the common set of Legos and have them stop playing with their siloed sets of Legos. So right now, Democrats and Republicans, they're silos, just like silos at the office. They're groups with their own assumptions about how the way things are done. Both of them are wrong, and they will remain wrong until one day when they can finally come together and actually say, okay, we're going to map out how things really happen. And then we're going to ask ourselves how, as Americans, we want things to happen. And then they can start to figure those things out. I was just reading an article today, not surprisingly, in the New York Times. I was just reading an article today about the rise in, we'll just say, bad citizenship, in people just flipping out in public. You know, people that you wouldn't expect. Little old ladies flipping out in the grocery store because they don't have the right cheese. People flipping out on airlines because they have to wear a mask. Right now is scary for everybody. And we're doing a really good job of convincing ourselves that we need to be scared of each other. So any chance you get, find the thing in the conversation that can become that AIDS quilt panel. Find the thing that can transcend the fear in the room and turn it into actionable energy. You know, you're mad about this because you want it to go away. I'm mad about this because I want it to go away. No one's sitting at home going, yay, COVID. That's not a thing. But we are all sitting at home saying, we want this damn thing to go away. In 1988, 1989, the world was incredibly homophobic. And in the 80s, as AIDS was becoming a thing, that just became another weapon in the arsenal of hate. And it, honest to God, wasn't until we visualized it, until we made that argument not about whether or not you thought gay people were weird, but whether or not you recognized that there were human beings that were dying and that people loved them. That we got change to happen. So whether it's a value stream map, or it's a Kanban, or whether it's any of the dozens of different visualizations that we talk about at Modus Institute, all of these things are applied to get human beings, professionals, to see past their fears and to get their work done. We thought 2020 sucked, and then 2021 came along, and it was like 2020 run through a photocopier. We have the tools to make 2022 and beyond better. That's my New Year's wish for everybody. Let's go take the tools and the understanding at our disposal and do something good with them.